Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel where we're playing Salerno 43 from GMT Games. This is part 2 where we're starting on turn 5. We've completed the first 4 turns and now we're back on the top of turn 5 in the weather phase for the Germans. So let's go ahead and get stuck in. So we roll for weather. A 3 gets us 1 to the right, so we're out of the rain into the clear weather, and the Allies get their air support and their naval support. Both sides get 1 supply point. And now we record that. Yep, so now we're in the initial phase for the Germans. So on turn 5, let me show you who the Germans get. So on turn 5, we get, what's this, 2 battalions from the 29th Panzer Grenadier Division with a armored recon battalion, and then we get 2 battalions from the 26th Panzer Division and 2 Fallschirmjäger battalions, and they all come in from the southern map edge. And the Germans also get 1 armored replacement. So I think the only armored, we have the Hermann Goering Battalion and the 16th Panzer Battalion. Let's do the 16th Panzer. So we're not going to be able to attack with them, but that's fine. We'll bring up our reinforcements this turn and then attack next turn, I think. That's our replacements. And now flip ASUs with supply points. We have 3. Don't think we need to flip anybody. So on to the movement phase. I'll go ahead and move everybody and bring you back to show you what that looks like. Alright, simple movement for the Germans. Just brought up the 26th Panzer units and the 29th Panzer Grenadier units into the town of Serre to sort of make sure that 29th Panzer Grenadier Division has a outlet for retreat. And then we brought the Fallschirmjägers in on the trucks up to Eboli and just moved down the Hermann Goering Recon Battalion back down into the outskirts of Salerno. And now for combat, I think we're just going to do 29th Panzer Grenadier stack against the American stack. We'll hold off on this until next turn because we'll have the replacements done, and maybe we can bring these guys into Persano for a little attack on the Americans there. So for this attack, the Germans have 2, 4, 8, 10, 12. The Americans have 2, 8, 12, 14. So it's a 1-to-1. And what else do we need? No tank shift. We are going to use our divisional artillery as well as our core artillery. Let's just make sure we have 1, 2, 3. Yep. So 76 Panzer Corps is also going to fire. So we're 2 right. So we're on 3-to-1. And we do not have an elite unit in this stack. So no modifier there. And the defender, I think we're going to have to use our Air Force as the Americans there. So we're back down to 2-to-1. Let's see. The Germans are basically hoping for basically a disordered result so that it delays the American advance. But let's see what we get. A 2 on the 2-to-1 is an exchange. So both sides lose a step and the opposing player determines. Retreat for the defender, and there's no chance for a determined defense. The Americans are going to choose the Stug battalion for the German step loss, and I think the Germans are going to choose this tank battalion. And sorry, that's no retreat for the defender. It's just an exchange, so that just stays as it is. And now we have to decide. I think we're going to have to do another attack on Salerno. The odds are just going to keep getting worse. So the Germans have 2, 5, 8, 10, and then we'll also use this regiment. So 14 to, oh boy, no, we aren't going to attack, because these two together are doubled, so double is 14, double is 14 for 28. So it'd be a 1 to 2 actually. And I think now we see that the Germans are kind of losing the edge on this. Yeah, okay. So there's no good options up here. I don't know what the Germans can do now that the British have these 2 7 defense units in the town. The odds are just so long, and it's not going to get any better. So I think we'll probably have to redeploy these units, concede Salerno, keep pressure on it, because as long as we have a unit within 2 hexes of Salerno, the Allies only get 1 landing point that they can land there. So if Salerno is open, they get 3 landing points that can go there. We'll have to just keep pressure on it, but I don't think we're going to be able to reassault it anymore. Maybe we can maneuver some people back into to attack the beachhead now that they're pushing out of it. Anyway, so that's the German turn complete. Recovery phase, we take the replacement marker off, and we don't have to rally anybody. Take the truck marker off. Supply is good, no attrition. Flip ASUs with supply points. I think we will. We'll resupply a 76 Panzer Corps, and we might as well resupply 29th Panzer Grenadier Division. And now we go up to the Allied turn. So reinforcements this turn, the Allies get 2 American units. They get a tank destroyer battalion and the 504th Parachute Infantry Regiment of the 82nd Airborne Division. So the tank destroyer battalion will just land on Red Beach. The 504th has to land within 3 hexes of an Allied beachhead marker. And if it lands, if we choose somewhere, as you'll see, that lands near an enemy ZOC, it's a -2 modifier. And basically that's a high chance of being disrupted or losing a step. So, I mean, we could play it safe and land in one of these clear hexes, but that's pretty boring. I really want them to be able to go and take Agripoli and get us that victory point. So we're going to just plop them down right here. We're going to incur that -2 modifier, so we need to roll pretty high. And with a 3, -2 is a 1, so they're disrupted. It's not what we wanted at all. Luckily they're elite, so rallying them should be easy, knock on wood. Now we have to flip ASUs with supply. We have 1 supply, and I think we'll flip probably 56th Infantry Division for that assault on Battipaglia. Now the Allied movement phase. What do we have to do here? All right, we didn't really do too much. We just put this tank destroyer battalion with this stack, landed the tank destroyer battalion from Red Beach, and of course the thing I forgot to do was replacements. So we get both the Americans and the British get replacements, infantry replacements that is, and the British are going to bring back a commando unit, and I think we'll probably put them in the floating reserve. And the Americans are going to give this guy a replacement. Sorry if you can hear my dog coughing up a furball. And as the last piece of movement, we're going to move this brigade into this stack here so that the Germans can't come in and just attack that brigade by itself. So yeah, for combat now, is it worth attacking up here, the Hermann Goering? Probably not, no. We have a couple of units that get doubled. Same thing with this, it's kind of just a standoff. So we'll do Battipaglia. We have 6, 10, 12 against 5, 6, 7, 8, 11. So it's 1 to 1. We'll drop. There's no tank shift, no elites for the attackers, but we will use our air support for 2 to 1, and then our divisional artillery and our corps artillery. So we get 3 shifts to the right for 4 to 1 odds now. So we're at 4 to 1. Pretty good odds. Hopefully we'll actually be able to take it this time. Oh, 6. That's as good as we get. 4 to 1. D1, advance 3. So the defender loses a step. Surviving defenders must retreat 3 hexes and become disrupted or determine defense. So the Germans get to choose, though, what unit they lose. Oops. So they're going to lose the Panzer Grenadier Battalion so that they can have the this Panzer Grenadier Battalion with the elite status do the determined defense. So you'll see, I forgot this last time, but it's a negative 1 DRM because it's this result, the orange result. So that cancels out the elite DRM. So it's a straight up die roll on the city column. And a 1, that just is a defender lost. So the Panzer Grand Battalion takes a step loss. And now the Germans have to retreat their 3 hexes. So I think they'll just retreat to Monte Corvino, I think. Or no, probably back to Salerno. So 1, 2, 3. And the British finally take Battipaglia. That was hard won, wasn't it? That really throws a wrench in the German plan. Probably that was way too long for the Commonwealth to take it, but better late than never. Now the Germans are really going to have to counterattack hard. But they're not really in a position to counterattack Battipaglia. But we'll see what they can come up with. At least most of the Allied support was used in those 2 attacks. So I think that's the Allied combat phase complete. Now we're going to recovery. So let's try to rally the airborne. So here's our rally chart. It's a unit is elite, so we get a +1. We need a 4, 5, or 6. 2 doesn't do it, so they're still disrupted. Can remove these placement markers now. And we don't have any supply points to flip ASUs, so we go to the weather phase of turn 6. All right, weather roll for turn 6. 3 moves us right 1, so the British and the US get their air units. British and US get their naval support. Allies get 1, and see that star, +1 out supply point. If the port of Salerno is open, no German units within 2 hexes, so that's why, as the Germans, we want to keep our units there. Anyway, German 10th Army gets 1 supply point, and now we go into the initial phase. So we place reinforcements for turn 6. Here are the German reinforcements. You'll see we have now the 3rd Panzer Grenadier Division is coming in from the north, and some more elements of the 26th Panzer Division. And I'm not going to forget this time. Replacements. Germans get 1 infantry replacement, and I think they'll use it on... Oh, sorry. They won't use it. Sorry. These guys are disrupted. Forgot to put that on there from the retreat. So I think we'll use it on these guys. They get a... I think it flipped back over. Just like so. We don't need to flip any ASUs. Now we'll go to German movement. I'll pause, bring you back to show you what that looks like. I don't think there's going to be much, so hang tight. All right, all we did was we scooted up the 16th Panzer Division stack in between Battipaglia and the Americans, and we scooted up this combined stack of the 26th Panzer and the 29th Panzer Grenadier Division into this to join the assault on the Americans. So let's go ahead and get that underway. For this assault, we have, let's see, 2, 4, 8, 10 to 12, 15, and we get to use one of these, so we'll do obviously this one. So that's 18 to the American 2, 8, 12, 14. So it's 1-to-1. We'll use the 29th Panzer Grenadier ASU for 2-to-1. And we'll use the 76th Panzer Corps 3-to-1. No tank shift. Wait, actually, the Americans get a tank shift because there are no tanks in the stacks. So on so the red just reminds you that on the defense, the tank destroyers get a 3 tank shift. Well, if they're on the attack, it only is a 2. But yeah, they get the bonus because there's no German tanks. So, and they're in the clear terrain. So we do get the tank shift, so we're back down to 2-to-1 now. Should we just use the air support? I think we might as well. So now we're back down to 1-to-1, and all of a sudden this big German counterattack doesn't look so hot. Let's see what we roll. Oh, that's a 5. It's about as good as it's going to get. A1, DR2. So the attacker loses a step and the defender must retreat 2 hexes and become disrupted or do a determined defense. So the attacker loses a step. We'll do it from just this top guy here, I guess. And I don't think we want to retreat 2 hexes because then the 36th Division, Infantry Division's ASU is going to be open. I should have moved him. So let's do a determined defense, and we'll use this guy to lead it. Oh, I should get my tweezers, but I'm not going to. So I'll use this guy to lead it, and we'll fire off the 45th Division, 45th Infantry Division's ASU. I'm remembering this time to get the +1 for the defensive support, and we're in clear terrain, so we're in this column. 4 + 1 is 5. So we get to either do no losses and a D, which is a delay, or a defender loses a step and hold. So we'll take the delay. So if we look back on here, we don't lose a step with the delay. We retreat 1 hex, so we're covering the infantry division's headquarters. And the Germans get a limited advance of 1 hex, but they're not going to take it. I think they're just going to hang tight where they are. All right, and now for the next attack, we have 16th Panzer. And, you know, this is one of those things where I kind of goofed as the Allies. Because if the 16th Panzer gets a good result on this American stack, they could advance after combat and attack the bridgehead, or not the bridgehead, the beachhead. So this is pretty clutch now. I should have saved my Air Force for this one. But again, on the one hand, if I'm a tactical idiot, on the German side, I'm a tactical genius apparently. So them's the breaks. That's how it works. So let's do some counting. So the Germans have 2, 4, 7, 10, 15 to 2, 6, 10, 12, 14. So it's a 1-to-1. No tank shift for anybody. The Germans they do have an elite, so they're at 2-to-1. And we'll fire off the 16th Panzer Division's ASU. Oops. So we're at 3-to-1 now. And I think that's all we're going to get. So let's roll on a 3-to-1. And the Americans are hoping for something low. 2, that's not bad. It's only a disruption. So we're disrupted, but we don't have to retreat. And they don't, most importantly, the Germans don't get to advance. So the Americans got lucky with that they, their tactical blunder wasn't taken advantage of by the Germans. And we'll have to close up this part of the line next turn. But I think that's it for the Germans as far as combat goes. So now we have to rally some units. These guys don't have anybody next to them, so they're rallied. These guys are fully replaced, so they're good to go. And I think that's about it. Where supply is good, and now we have 2 supply points to use. Might as well just flip back over the 16th Panzer and the 76th Panzer Corps. And now we're into the Allied turn 6. And of course, wasn't going to be a counter corps turn without forgetting something. And I forgot to move the German reinforcements for this turn. And so we moved the 29th Panzer Division ASU up to around Eboli. And then the 3 units from the north we brought into the rear to kind of cover down Salerno. And eventually we're going to have to get the 29th Panzer Division's ASU linked up with its unit up here and bring these guys. We have to figure out a way to start covering this northern part, because after this scenario is over, the Allied 8th Army starts coming up from the south, and they're going to be able to outflank us. But so we don't want anybody kind of caught out down here, and we don't really, there's not many VPs down in this section, so the big stuff is up there. Anyway, so that's the German turn 6 complete, and now we're going to go to the Allied turn 6, and we're going to place our reinforcements. That's what reminded me. So we have, you'll see I already put one down, is the a battalion from the 45th Infantry Division. And then we have 2 parachute infantry regiments, the 509th and the 505th. So the 505th lands like the other 82nd Airborne Battalion or Regiment. They have to land within 3 hexes of a beachhead. And the 2nd of the 509th landed historically near Avellino, which is up north. I'll bring you up there when I drop them. So we're just going to land them up there too. And as for the 82nd, I think we're going to land them here actually, outside of the ZOC of the Panzer Regiment or Panzer Division, and also cover down on the beachhead. So now let's roll on the airborne landing chart. So for this one, it's clear and not in a ZOC, so it's just a straight up die roll. A 4. They're at half efficiency, which is fine. They're at half strength, and they don't really attack, but they're not planning to attack this turn anyway. And now I'll bring you up north. So up here, the little parachute marker tells you where the 2nd Battalion of the 509th landed. So we'll roll for them. They're in a ZOC, so it's a -2. A 5 minus 2 is a 3, so they're also at half efficiency. So they won't be attacking this turn, which is fine. And so then we also, we only have 1 supply point to flip an ASU. So we'll flip 10 Corps. And now we have our replacements. So the Americans and the British both get 1 armored replacement. So the Americans, that's easy. We'll get them. We'll put him on a headquarters unit. I think we'll put that here. And we'll bring back the 40th Royal Tank Regiment, and we'll put him with 10 Corps. So that's our replacements done. And now we move into the movement phase. All right, so here's the Allied movement completed. We just landed the 180th Infantry Regiment, moved over this tank destroyer battalion into this stack. Don't think there's much else we need to do. Oh, we do have the commandos. So the commandos will land on Uncle Beach. It's not worth, we can't put them in Salerno. That's already got all the stacks it can. I can't see a reason to put them into Maori. So the British just need more infantry in this area. Maybe we'll put them in Battipaglia because they'll be good with the defense. So that's the Allied movement complete. Now for combat, we want to try attacking this variable strength unit. If we can get them out of the way, we'll open up this sort of flanking maneuver on this stack here. Maybe we could start bringing down more units this way. So first, let's see what strength the variable strength unit is. A 1 is a 0, so it is just eliminated. So we get a 4, it's a basically defender shattered result. So we get 4 hexes with our mechanized and what is it, 2 with non-mechanized. So we'll just move up to here. Hopefully that's enough to give the Germans something to think about. And I think we're going to do it. I think let's go ahead and roll to see what this is. We'll attack with the engineers. This could go horribly wrong. Because there is a chance that it's if we roll 6, it's a 2, and then they're doubled. So it would be a 1 to 4 odds, which, well, it could be disastrous. But luckily they can't counterattack. So even if the engineers do retreat, they can't follow up on it. So let's see what they are. A 1 is a 0, perfect. Variable strength units defeated. We get to move into Oliastrato. And that's now the only variable strength unit left, which is of course the one that has the victory point. And these silly paratroopers are still disrupted. That's the Allied combat complete, I believe. Don't see anything else we want to do. So let's go recovery. Let's try to rally those paratroopers. A 3. We're +1. There's no Zoc thing, so it's a 4. Still no change though. We should probably just move them next turn. Oh well. Now we remove all these replacement and half efficiency markers. I don't think anybody else is disrupted. There's another one. So I think we're good on that front. And now we don't have any supply points, so we just go on to turn 7. So turn 7, we roll for weather. A 1 doesn't move, so the British and the US both get their air forces, both get their naval, and everybody goes up 1. Now the initial phase for the Germans on turn 7, they only get 1 reinforcement this turn. A Panzer IV company coming in from the north. Let's see if I remember to move him. And they get 1 infantry replacement, which I think we'll spend on this unit. And now we have 1 supply point. Don't need to flip anybody. So now we're in the German movement phase. All right, so I was doing the German movement and I realized there was quite the goof. So I've probably already made an edit, or in the edits, I've probably already made a little pointer that I made the goof. But basically I forgot that Commonwealth and Allied and American units can still form Zoc bonds. So there should have been a Zoc bond between these 2 stacks, which would have prevented the 16th Panzer stack from entering this hex. So I rectified that by moving them back as hex, and luckily that shenanigans didn't affect the gameplay at all. So my bad for that. I told you, even though the rules are only 20 pages, I was bound to make some big goof. So hopefully that's the only big one that I made. So the only other movement though that I made this turn was this big conglomerate. Now there's 3 different divisions. This is where it kind of gets crazy. Outside Salerno, blocking this path, kind of north and east. And hopefully we'll be able to contain the Americans and the British now on this new line centered on Eboli, and down here these guys in Altavia and Salerno. So the 3rd Division doesn't take Salerno until September 22nd. That's turn 14. So you can see why they wouldn't have taken it until then. But that's the German movement complete. I don't think we're going to do anything else. We have to keep an eye on this American stack, but we have this river covering us from the south, so the Americans would have to get all the way around here, and when they do, they'd have supply problems. So we're okay on that front for now. So now we go to the German combat phase, and the Germans are going to attack this disrupted stack because they'll defend at half defense points. So yeah, let's do that attack. So I think we're at 15, 2, 4, 7, 10, 15 to 10, 12, 14. So 15 to 7 is 2 to 1. No tank shift for the Germans. They will use their, I think they'll use division and corps ASUs. So we're at 4 to 1 now. The Americans, oh, and now 5 to 1 because there's an elite unit in this stack, so 5 to 1. The Americans definitely have to use their air support. So we're back down to a 4 to 1. It's not looking good for the Americans. A 3. Oh, that's not bad. A 3 is a DRX. DRX is both sides lose a step and it's selected by the opposing player. And they have to retreat 2 hexes and become disrupted. And since they're already disrupted, it will go to a full retreat. So the Germans are going to choose probably this big, I think they'll choose this big infantry battalion or regiment. And the Americans will choose, there's so many I want to destroy. Probably, I guess this big Panzer company. And now we retreat 2 hexes. Retreat there. And we're in full retreat. And the Germans get to advance 2. But I don't think we want to advance because we want to cover Eboli still. So we're just going to hang tight there. It's nice that we got this full retreat. It's going to take 2 turns now for that to get situated. So we have basically the rest of this scenario of a reprieve from at least this stack. So that's the German combat complete. We're not going to do anything with Salerno. Of course, we did forget our reinforcements, this Panzer company. They're just going to go into Avellino. So I'll bring you up there. Let me show you. So up here in the north, we brought it in on this little secondary road, this Panzer IV company into Avellino to boost up this this variable strength unit, garrison unit, against the, what is that, the 509th Parachute Infantry Regiment's battalion. So that's the German turn complete. Now we just have to rally and pluck off these replacement markers. Don't have any rallies to do. And check supply. Everybody's good on supply, it looks like. We're going to flip the 76 Panzer Corps ASU for 1 supply point. And now we go to the Allied turn 7. Allied turn 7. We get a battalion from the 45th Infantry Division and a brigade from the 7th Armored Division for the British. So the Americans will land, I guess we'll land them at Red Beach, and the British will land on Uncle, or yeah, either way we can decide which way we want to go with them. The Americans and the British don't get any replacements for the rest of the scenario. We have 1 supply point, and I think we'll use it on probably the 45th Infantry Division. So now we're in the Allied movement phase. So here's the Allied movement complete. We brought the engineers over and moved the parachute infantry regiment out. And we brought around this stack to Castle Civita and consolidated the American position up here. Moved out some British units into the hills. 7th Armored Brigade, we decided to move up towards Salerno. And I think we're going to attack the Hermann Goering Division. So let's move into the combat phase. So the Hermann Goering units here, they're in the hills, so they get double. So except the tanks. So we're at 4, 10, 14. Again, so we'll use these two. So 2, 4, 6, and then 10. So it's 16. So it's 1-to-1. The Americans, Rangers, are an elite, so we're at 2-to-1. Tank shift doesn't count because we're in the hills. Division, we don't have the 46th ready, but we have the 10 Corps ready. So we're at 3-to-1, and we'll use some C-fires for 4-to-1. So this is looking pretty decent. 4-to-1 odds, but a 2 is never good. So DR2, the defender must retreat 2 hexes and become disrupted or conduct a determined defense. So I think we'll go ahead and do the determined defense with these guys who are elite. And we'll also spend the Hermann Goering's ASU. So they're at a +2. And we're in other terrain. So a 7 in the other terrain is the attacker loses 1 step, the defender becomes disrupted, but they hold. So who do we want to, I guess we'll lose 1 step out of these infantry brigades in Salerno. They are disrupted, but they hold. So not an ideal result, but the Germans will now have to rally or else retreat from there. And that will relieve some pressure on Salerno. Now let's go down here. Let's roll for what this variable strength unit is. A 4. Oh, that might actually be something. So on the variable strength, the 4 is a 1 strength. So now we're at 1 strength to 1. This isn't going to be good. We don't have anything to support them. So it's just on the 1-to-1 table. And a 1 attacker loses a step. So these poor engineers, they died heroes. It's all your fault, parachutes or airborne dudes. I don't think we want to attack Avellino. Well, you know what? Let's do it. I'll bring you up north. So we have the parachute infantry battalion attacking Avellino. They're a defensive 1, this tank company. And we have a variable strength unit. So let's roll what the variable strength unit is. A 4 means that they're a 1 strength unit. So that's a 2-to-2, which is a 1-to-1 on the odds ratio. However, the airborne is elite, so it's a 1 shift to the right. We can't get anything out there as far as support goes. So we're on the 2-to-1 odds. Oh, and a 6 on 2-to-1 is A1, D1. That's not good because the airborne is only 1 step. So the Germans will destroy or have the variable strength unit destroyed, and Avellino holds. So now we're in the recovery. So they're disrupted now. And now we're into the last turn of the scenario. And I've also noticed whenever I chose to bring back the 2 Commando as a replacement, it was an infantry replacement, not a blank replacement. So I shouldn't have been able to bring that back, but oh well, I don't think he's not going to play any more part in this scenario. So that's my mistake. I've probably already made a comment on it in the edits. Man, 2 big mistakes this time, but at least I caught on myself. I think that's a start. So let's roll for weather. A 3 is just 1 to the right. So the Germans don't get their air unit because Monte Corvino Airfield doesn't have a German unit within 2 hexes of it, or is it 3? Either way, there's no German unit around it, so the Allies can fly interdiction missions from the airfield and interdict the German air units. But the Allies do get their 2 support markers, or naval support markers. They get 1 supply, Germans get 2 supply. And now the German turn. They get no reinforcements this turn. They get a blank replacement, which is kind of a wild card. Who are we going to do? I think we'll do this conf group up here, get them back to elite. And do we have any ASUs to flip? Yeah, we'll flip the 16th Panzer for 1. And the Hermann Goering ASU for 2. And now we're in the movement phase, and so I'll give this a think and bring you back like usual. All right, so here we are at the end of the German movement. We brought this stack around from here to cover Eboli because we moved out the Fallschirmjägers. We brought down and consolidated basically every 16th Panzer Division unit we could find for an attack on Battipaglia. We brought back the Hermann Goering units so that they could get their disruption off. So now let's attack Battipaglia. So we have 5, 6, 7, because we can only use 1 Fallschirmjäger unit. 10, oh boy, here we go. It begins. 13. Oh, sorry, that's a, how did he get in there? So we're at 3, 5, 8. We're going to use this unit instead of a Fallschirmjäger. So 11, 14, 15, 16, 18. 18 to 24, so 1 to 1. We're going to use both 16th Panzer, 76th Panzer Corps ASUs, so we're 3 to 1. In the city, there's no tank shift, so we got 3 to 1 odds, another right shift for an elite. The British don't have their air support, so we're at 4 to 1 odds. Allies can't do anything about it. And now we roll to see 4 to 1. Oh well, 4 to 1, DR2. So the defender either retreats 2 hexes and becomes disrupted, or do a determined defense. We'll go ahead and do a determined defense with this guy. And unfortunately, we don't have any ASUs to fire, so they're kind of just on their own. We are in a city hex though. And a 3 gets us no losses and a partial success, which means we get a city battle, and everything else kind of just stays as it was. So that's the German turn complete. There's no more attacks we're going to make, I don't think. So let's rally units. Hermann Goering gets rallied. Replacement counter gets pulled. Everything else looks good. Supply is good. Don't have any supply points to flip ASUs. So now we go into the Allied turn 8, and let's see what happens there. So here are the reinforcements Allies get. The Valiant and the Warspite battleships come into Salerno Bay to offer their services. The 5th Royal Tank Regiment of the 7th Armored Division gets landed. They have some nice Sherman tanks. And then we have gliders and a parachute infantry battalion. They get landed. Also have to be within 3 hexes of a beachhead marker. All right, here we are at the end of the Allied movement. Basically, we landed our 2 reinforcements here. The 5th Royal Tank Regiment joined its motorized infantry brigade. If we kept going, we'd probably be using them to lead the breakout from Salerno, hopefully. We need to take Agripoli and Altavia. 29th Panzer Grenadier kind of got caught out. Not gonna lie, this is really bad tactic strategy on my part. This stack used the extended movement to cut through here between these 2 rivers and get to Serre and cut off the retreat of the 29th Panzer Grenadier Division. All right, so we're moving into the Allied combat phase now, and we need 2 victory points, and the only 2 victory points I can see us capturing are Agripoli and Altavia. So let's start with Agripoli with the 82nd Airborne. We have the variable strength unit, and a 1 is a 0, so that variable strength unit is destroyed. We can move in the 504th, get that victory point, and now we just need to take Altavia. Except taking Altavia is going to be quite difficult because they're in hills. They have elite units in here somewhere, I think. Do they not? No elite units. So they're in hills, so they're all doubled though. So let's do some math real quick. We have 3, 6, 12, 14, so they're at 28. And now the Americans are at 2, 4, 5, 9, 11, 17, 19. So 19 to 28 is a 1-to-1, I believe. That's my math. The tank shift doesn't happen because we're in the hills. The Americans don't have any elites. The Germans don't have any elites, so it's just straight up grunt fight. We are going to shoot off our... I did this again. How do I... Oh, okay, we do. So we do have a 36th Infantry Division unit. And okay, we had to -1 because we only get 1 36th Infantry Division unit on our attack, but it doesn't affect the ratio. So we'll fire him off, and I believe... Where's our core? Do we not have a core artillery? Guess not. Is it in this stack? Yeah, okay, so here's our core. So we're at 3-to-1 now. And that's going to be it. So 3-to-1. A 5. A1, D1. So we'll just pluck him off the top, I guess. Doesn't matter at this point. And we'll pluck him off. And now the Germans are going to have to conduct a determined defense. We'll just do it with the top unit. Doesn't really matter at this point because it's the last turn in the scenario. They're in other terrain. They don't get any defensive support because 29th Panzergren is fired. So a 5 in other gives us a D, a delay. Or if we take 1 step loss, we hold. So we'll take a step loss and we hold. And that's the scenario complete. The Germans somehow win the ugliest Operation Avalanche I think I've played yet. But of course that had to have happened because I'm recording. So with the Germans holding Altavia, it's not really worth playing the rest of the turn because the Allies only have 7 victory points. So if this were going to keep going, I think the Germans would be kind of boned, to be honest, because the 8th Army arrives in a couple of turns from the southern map edge on turn 14. The 16th Panzer Division just gets removed completely from the map. They get redeployed somewhere. So yeah, and in this case, it looks like the 29th Panzer Grenadier Division would be hung out to dry. There's nowhere for it to go. I mean, it could try breaking out here, but yeah, it's going to be hard. What we would probably have to do is bring some units out to here to break the Zoc or something, do some kind of chicanery, maybe attack this guy to get him to retreat. Anyway, it would be pretty difficult for the Germans. Looking back, I probably should have attacked Salerno more. We have all these units up here that didn't really do much. We probably should have just been acceptable losses to try to get the British out of there. But that's me being cautious because I didn't want to look like an idiot when I lost my entire force. But, in hindsight, probably should have just went for it. So yeah, that's Salerno 43, Operation Avalanche. This is a short scenario. Took me a little bit longer to play than usual, but that's just a symptom of recording. I don't think I got 2 rules wrong, and I caught it this time, so at least I didn't have to wait until I got to editing to realize I made some rules mistakes. That being said, I probably still made some more, so don't use this as a basis on how to play. Just kind of get an idea for how the gameplay works, get you excited to play it if you haven't tried it yet. Highly recommend it for new and experienced players alike. So yeah, go ahead and pick this one up because it'll be a series of 3 soon, and you want to get this one under your belt before the next one comes out, where we go off the northern map edge towards Naples. So yeah, that's Salerno 43. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next battlefield.